part 2 of how Jesus Christ himself saved me from a South Korean cult. In the US, they go by the name of New Heaven, New Earth a lot. Sometimes you'll see them underneath like TikTok posts saying like, hey, join my Bible study. New Heaven, New Earth is on Zoom. So make sure you go watch the intro and the part 1 before watching part 2. But basically where we left off at, it was, I was doing the one-on-one with the girl who I thought was like a friend of mine at the time, who brought me into this whole mess. So we did the one-on-one, like I said. It seemed like it was, pretty, normal, whatever like that. But then I had my wedding coming up. And it kind of annoyed me because after my wedding, they were like hitting me up like sooner than what I thought people would do, like to see if I was going to, do another one-to-one or join their actual class and all the things. And I was like, well, I'm not about to join no actual like mandatory class or anything because I'm in honeymoon phase. Like I have a honeymoon coming up. I have all these things going on. I'm not committed to nothing. But since I had just got married, they played on that. And I ended up asking my husband, like, can you do like a one-to-one with me? Like, it'll be me, you. And they ended up finding another couple to do it, another married couple to do it with me and my husband. So we would join them. They lived in Florida. We would join them on Zoom and do Bible study together. Once again, it was like, when I look back on that stuff, it was still like, normal stuff. It wasn't anything being introduced that was, not according to the Bible or anything that I've learned before. So it was just like to gain our trust or whatever like that. So they did that and that went pretty well, but it wasn't until after we completed the couples one. And this was like right before our honeymoon. So we got married in March. Our honeymoon was in September. So right before our honeymoon, they started to really ask us like, so are you guys going to do the class? So the guy was like reaching out to my husband. The lady was reaching out to me. And then she even told me like, you should do the class. I ended up doing it before my husband ever did it. Once again, trying to get me to go ahead and jump into it before my husband, because I was really like, no, because my husband doesn't want to do it, so I don't want to do it. And that's what I was leaning towards at first. But she was just like, I had ended up doing the class first before my husband did it, and it's just so good, and it really prepares you to really understand the Bible. And that's that's something I was interested in at the time. And so I was like, I'll think about it or whatever. So we went on our honeymoon, came back from our honeymoon. They were hitting us up. And I just said, okay, I'll do it. Like, I just was like, I'll do it, whatever. So I ended up joining this, like, the actual class where things get really fishy. And so it started off really like, like they assign you to like a kind of like a advisor, like your own person, like advisor type person. So she was one who was reaching out to me. Looking back, I see what they were doing. Like she would reach out to me and she would ask me questions like, what do you know about, like, about like where you went to church growing up, and just trying to gauge how much you know so they can see how much they can manipulate you. So that's what I see about that, like when I look back. So that occurred when I was doing it by myself. And yeah, so I started it, and I was just really thirsty for just, Bible study. And once again, the girl who brought me into this, she was like, I'm going to do the class again too. I think that's what they do. Because to just keep an eye on the person they brought in, they'll do the class with you, just to keep an eye on. It's so weird. And so we would both be in there, whatever like that. And I think the class was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it would be from like 6 to 8:30, I think. And then like after the class, the advisor, we would have like a small group. Y'all, the craziest thing about this is that it was so many like older black men and women in this class. That's what hurt my heart the most when I came to my realization that this was like not it. It was the fact that there were so many of my kind still in there. I'm just like, do they know? And I don't think they know, because it got to a point where some people were starting to ask questions. Like some women were starting to ask questions, and they would have a way of just kind of talking around your questions. So I'm going to leave this here at 4 minutes. But yeah, so I ended up doing the one-on-one. Everything seemed normal. When that finished up, they wanted me to do the class, but I was like, I don't have time for that. So I ended up bringing my husband in, and we did another one-on-one with a couple. And then eventually they got me to join the class or whatever. So we'll end this right here.